Namaskar. Welcome to Embassy Weekly Online. Today we'll talk about the Diplomats' Day celebrations, Russia-France high-level talks, and the Russian foreign ministers and the UK foreign secretaries meeting in Moscow. Besides, we'd like to share with you some points on the situation around Ukrainian internal crisis. So keep tuned, check the links that we provide in description and in QR codes, as they will expose more details on the issue, and do not hesitate to leave your comments below. Russia marked the Diplomats' Day on February 10. This date goes back to the earliest documented mention of the ambassadorial prikaz, which is the first state body in the Russian history that oversaw foreign affairs. This year we celebrate two milestone anniversaries in a row. 20 years since this very holiday was established by the executive order of the Russian president on October 31, 2002, and the 220th anniversary of the Russian diplomatic service as such. Our diplomacy helps uphold the lawful rights of the Russian citizens and compatriots abroad and facilitates the settlement of regional conflicts and crises, and most importantly, plays a major role in creating favorable external conditions for the steady progress of our country, said Russian President Vladimir Putin in his congratulatory message. The complexity of the modern world and mixed nature of ongoing developments puts high demands on diplomats. So, always and particularly today, it is important to keep up with the times, to constantly improve ourselves, to skillfully combine traditional diplomatic art with the new approaches and technologies, said Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on the occasion. In his message, Chargé d'Affaires of the Russian Embassy in India, Roman Babushkin, noted that by celebrating the traditional Diplomats' Day, Russia honors the centuries-long traditions of its diplomacy as the most efficient tool to ensure stability and favorable conditions for economic development.
Russia always believed that relations should start with dialogue, which needs to be equal, respectful, trusted and forward-looking. That is something that constitutes a foundation of the Russian special and privileged strategic partnership with India and makes our mutual understanding exceptional.
A series of events were held in New Delhi to celebrate this remarkable date. During special class hour held at the embassy's school, our diplomats told students about their work aimed at developing traditionally friendly relations between Russia and India and ensuring world peace and stability in general. On that day, students also honored memory of the late Ambassador Alexander Kadakin by visiting the Memorial Museum dedicated to his life and work in India, as well as by laying flowers to the memorial plaque in Kadakin Street. We would like to thank once again all our Indian friends for the kind and warm congratulations on the occasion. Russian Foreign Ministry, our embassy and other Russian diplomatic missions across the world is the very right place if you're looking for diplomacy. On February 7th, Russian President Vladimir Putin had talks with President of France Emmanuel Macron in Moscow. The meeting was held in a business-like atmosphere.
We continued exchanging views on the Russian proposals submitted to NATO on long-term security guarantees. Those include three basic points: the non-expansion of NATO, non-deployment of strike systems along Russian borders, and the reversal of the security infrastructure to 1997, when the founding act was signed between Russia and NATO. Sadly, our proposals were ignored, and the response that we received from NATO. Our Western partners referred to the fact that every state has the right to choose means to ensure its security and to join any security alliances. We've never disputed this principle. But the alliance is not obligated to take in every member. We note that Russia still hears these reassurances that NATO is a defensive organization. Whether that is actually true is something that people of many countries have seen in practice. Countries such as Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan and the large-scale military operation conducted in Belgrade without Security Council sanctions is something that is a far cry from what a peaceful organization may have been doing. In addition to that, NATO's military strategy of 2019 directly calls Russia a threat and an adversary. By moving its military infrastructure to our borders, NATO and its member countries think they have the right to teach us where to place our own armed forces while we're actually conducting maneuvers on our own territory. But that is seen as a threat of Russian invasion of Ukraine. The foundation for that is unclear. However, that is used as grounds to promote an anti-Russian policy.
On February 10th, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov had talks with the UK Foreign Secretary Elizabeth Truss, who was in Moscow on a working visit. The Russian side emphasized the persistently unsatisfactory state of bilateral relations with the UK. Sergei Lavrov pointed out that any unfriendly steps taken by the British side against Russia will not be left without an appropriate and proportional response, and that is not our choice. It was emphasized that the crisis in bilateral relations initiated by London devalues the importance of a dialogue with the British on international matters.
And we focused, of course, on relations between Russia and the UK. These relations leave much to be desired. They are at the lowest point over the past few years, and this is not our fault. I will not dwell on that, but I would like to say that Russia stands for normalizing Russia-UK relations, improving those relations, and returning them to normal and business-like kind of partnership. And of course, that's only possible based on the principles of mutual respect, respect for each other's legitimate interests, equal rights, whereas ultimatums, threats, and imposing one's own conditions on your partner is a path that will lead nowhere. This has to be a two-way street after all. And we have focused on, of course, on the implementation of the Minsk protocols, which are ignored by Kiev, by the Kiev regime. We have talked about steps that Russia is taking to try to have those that have sway over the Kiev regime to make Ukraine actually carry out its agreements that it has signed up to. Unfortunately, various sides have different interpretations of the Minsk protocols. I'm truly disappointed that this is like the deaf talking to the blind, etc., or basically nobody's hearing each other. Unfortunately, our attempts to explain ourselves have fallen on deaf ears. Someone is saying that Russia is waiting for the ground to freeze so that Russian tanks in Ukraine could move forward, and I think this is the frozen ground that we have faced today in our UK counterparts. We have provided lots of facts, a lot of explanations of details, including those provided by President Putin and other representatives of Russia, but they have all fallen on deaf ears. Either our counterparts are not aware of any of these facts, or they are deliberately ignoring them. You have just quoted Ms. Truss that the claims that Russia has no plans to invade Ukraine are false, but this is not just the Russian government that's making these statements, it's also the Pentagon that's making these statements that Russia has no plans for an invasion. I have just read them. There are serious people in the Pentagon. They're using satellites to look at the Russian territory and see what's going on. And the same statement was made by the defense minister of Ukraine, by the Ukrainian president even. He called on the nation not to panic. But it seems like our Western counterparts want to have an instrument to unbalance Russia and the situation overall.
February 12 marked 7 years since Kyiv, Donetsk and Lugansk, with the Russian and the OSCE mediation and the assistance of the Normandy format, signed the package of measures which has become the only basis, one that has no alternative, by the way, for the settlement of the internal Ukrainian crisis. After being approved by the UN Security Council Resolution number 2202, it has become a part of international law binding for all parties involved. Text of the document is openly available for everyone, so do not be misguided by some officials and, of course, media, who interpret these agreements in their own way. 7 years ago, the parties to the conflict agreed to observe a ceasefire, withdraw their forces from the line of contact, grant Donbass a special status within Ukraine, an amnesty for its residents, and many more. Regrettably, none of these provisions has been implemented. Kyiv regime continues to sabotage its commitments, often demonstrating this in public with the tacit consent of its Western patrons. In this situation, it is so disappointing to see attempts, widely supported by the media, to artificially fomenting tensions in and around Ukraine. The Western media, with other press just copy-pasting their feeds, are fanning hysteria instead of paying attention to two main points. First, why does the Kyiv regime not fulfilling the Minsk agreements that it signed officially to settle the crisis? Second, this is a humanitarian, human rights problem, as people, including children, are being killed there. But the only thing some media cares about is a hypothetical Russian attack. This is sheer nonsense. We are a country that survived World War II, but not in the way, for example, United States survived it. There were no Nazi troops on their territory. Meanwhile, in our country, these troops occupied much of our land, burned down towns, drove people into captivity, destroyed our cities, and killed civilians, including women and children. We lost tens of millions of human lives. Peace is priceless to us, and our only goal is to keep it.